Spider-Man being back at Marvel is good news on the whole. I actually made a video all about that, which I'll link at the end of this and below. But what if worst case scenario happens and this all goes bad? Like that this move sets Marvel on a path of which they cannot escape. And I don't know, let's say they begin adapting things that should never be adapted. The Clone Saga. That time Captain America was a werewolf. That time the Punisher did blackface. That swimsuit issue? And that one story about a time-traveling Billy Ray Cyrus. All of those. Anyways, I doubt we'll ever have to worry about any of that, and that all this is going to work out just fine. Still, I'd like to address some reservations that I have about this whole scenario and look at the worst possible outcome. But to do so, we have to go back to the beginning of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which was built off the back of characters that were considered B-listers at best. Characters that only had distinctly average live-action appearances, and that the majority of audiences had no interest in. Marvel's decision to do this was made out of necessity. Spider-Man and the characters affiliated with him were with Sony, and the X-Men/Fantastic Four were, and still are, with Fox. Being forced to roll out lesser-known characters meant they couldn't rely on household names to get people into cinemas. And consequently, they were forced to make actual good movies with entertaining stories that were well cast and generally well directed, as opposed to all this here. A limited roster of characters meant that some outside the box kind of thinking was required. And you know, a pretty good example of limitations enhancing something is Jaws 3D. No, wait. No, not this. This isn't very good. I mean the original Jaws, simply titled just Jaws. The mechanical sharks used in this malfunctioned constantly, meaning that the bulk of the shark scenes had to be changed so that we didn't see it as much as originally intended. Less shark, and with that John Williams score, added more tension to the film, and subsequently, we got a better final product. So what I'm saying is, what I've always been saying, less sharks in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think we can all agree on that. But what I'm also saying is that the return of Spider-Man could change the MCU for the worse if a large bulk of the focus is shifted to him. Already, the first Spider-Man solo movie has taken the release date of Thor Ragnarok, which in turn pushed back Black Panther, which pushed back Captain Marvel, which pushed back the Inhumans, which pushed back nothing. This is where the pushing back stopped happening. Spider-Man has been off for years, gallivanting around at Sony, and since 2007 only managed to appear in average films at best. And now that he's back, his arrival has pushed out a slew of films, 3 of which are new properties which seem infinitely more interesting. And of course, no, this isn't the end of the world. These movies are still happening, but Spider-Man shouldn't take priority because frankly, he doesn't deserve it. Not only that, it looks as if they're going to shoehorn him into Civil War. And I know he plays a pivotal role in that storyline, but this movie was initially planned to be the launching off point for Black Panther, which it probably still will be, but again, that's an interesting character that we haven't seen yet. Not only that, the official announcement makes mention of Peter Parker. And I know Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and that's great, good for him, but if we're gonna get Peter Parker again, I really hope we get something a little different. I mean, Sony are still making the Spider-Man films. This deal that happened between the companies, no money is changing hands. Marvel keeps every cent from the movies it makes with Spider-Man in them, and Sony keeps whatever they make from their solo and spin-off Spider-Man movies. Not only that, Sony have creative control on everything Spider-Man. Oh, hang on. You have a hair on your screen. It's just like there. Nah, I'm just kidding. I put that there. Tricked. You were possibly tricked just then. Also, and I know people keep saying it, less sharks in the MCU, but not only that, can we see someone else as Spider-Man at some point? Maybe not right away, but soon. And why not Miles Morales? They could still potentially start with him, even though his origin is tied directly with that of Peter Parker. They can still acknowledge that the first Spider-Man does exist in the world, we just don't need to meet him right away. I mean, we did! Twice! And look at it this way. The Flash TV series revolves around Barry Allen, and he wasn't the first Flash. Just like Hal Jordan isn't the first Green Lantern, plus not to mention, Clark Kent wasn't the first Superman. Actually, that one's not true. He was, but you get the point! Or do you? I don't know. Like I said though, all this is probably gonna be fine. And regardless, people are never happy. There was non-stop complaining when Spider-Man was at Sony, and there's non-stop complaining now that he's back. For example, this video that you are currently watching. As long as Marvel keeps the emphasis on their own characters and the characters that they're still developing, this will be fine. And as long as Sony gives us something better than movies that are just 2-hour trailers for the next film in the series, then yeah, it'll be even more fine. And just maybe, and this is a stretch here, we could get a Green Goblin that actually looks like the Green Goblin and not some weird sickly boy with a skin condition, a bored-looking James Franco in a ski mask, and a man who actually looks like a real-life goblin who covers his real-life goblin face with a motorcycle helmet. Thanks everyone, and like I said, that other video I made will be linked at the end of this as well as below. Along with this video, a discussion on potential replacements for the actor who plays Spider-Man. Also, I have a podcast, it's called The Weekly Planet, that looks at movies and comics and TV. I'll also link that below, or you can find it at the terrific comicbookmovie.com. Question though, is there a chance that Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe could be a bad thing? You don't have to necessarily 100% believe that, but if you do have any reservations, please share them below. And also, please don't attack one another if you have like differing opinions, because that's not very cool. The internet is a harmonious place, and let's just keep it that way, you know? Alright, thanks everyone. Take care.